he knew the house went for 752. And when we sit down at the table, and before he's signing, he refused to sign. And I remember seeing the image of him holding the documents as a hostage. I'm gonna sign this until somebody tell me how much money I may gonna get.
Right.
Welcome back to another episode of the Estate of Wealth podcast for your weekly dose of market updates and expert insights. I'm Barney, and alongside me, as always, is Aaron Levin. And today we have Jose and Sarah joining us from Lincoln Assets. Thanks for coming, guys. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us on.
Hi guys, how are you doing? Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you go ahead and tell our audience a little about who you are and what you guys do over there at Lincoln Assets.
Sure. So I'm Sarah, Jose. We are the founders of Lincoln Asset Management, a local Denver real estate investment firm. We do fix and flips, have a couple of buy and holds. We also have a Mexico division of Lincoln Asset Management, Mexico, that we recently got established for our investments down there. And we do, whole fix and flips for ourselves, but also do some home renovations. And we also have been branching out doing our passion child right now is the Cash Flow Club, which I know you guys are frequent flyers out. So that's a really fun place for bringing together investors to talk about pretty much everything. It's a mastermind that's free. And we have a different topic every single month and bring in different speakers. And that's been going really well too. We started in January and have had one session a month. What else do we do?
We're trying to launch our division in Detroit. We're trying to start doing developments in Denver. We're putting together our own fund for funding our own deals and being able to raise capital and doing deals in a very different way than how we do today here in this market. And I think that's pretty much we want to take content.
Yeah. I just want to take a second to give you guys kudos for the Cash Flow Club, the mastermind that you had briefly mentioned there. It's just so exciting to, see the community that you guys have really built. You guys are carrying a torch here in Denver. And so I want to give you the kudos for that.
Thank you. That's really sweet, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last one I attended was really awesome too, because speaking of your fund, you had a whole panel of fundraisers and different syndications up there as well too.
We were choosing. Actually, nobody knew that we were basically it was going to be the fund manager.
Yeah.
Job interview.
It was a job interview. I know.
Oh, I see. Yep.
AKA a panel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Where'd you is your Detroit division? Is that going to be the I keep calling them micro hotels, but I think it's boutique hotels. Is that the term?
Actually, no. Detroit division is going to be something focused mostly in cash flow generation with rental arbitrage, long-term rental arbitrage in pretty depressed neighborhoods,
Well, that's not there. I mean, in up and coming neighborhoods, I would say, we actually
C+, B-.
We had a really interesting conversation with someone that actually Benson from Privy introduced us to. He has a really big operation in Detroit. They kind of do everything out there.
Wow.
Property management, they wholesale, they have a couple thousand doors. And he ran us through what his criteria were for picking up properties. So we're kind of going through. Jose's been doing a lot of research and kind of doing the reverse engineering of how to set up an operation since we're not going to be there. It's interviewing property management companies, learning about the neighborhoods, getting the DSCR lenders in line, because our lenders here don't lend out there, and
right.
So we're just
requirements can change based on location. You can have restriction based on zip codes inside the city.
Yeah.
Lenders won't refi because you're in the inner city.
Yeah. Detroit is so exciting to me because we've, long time heard that this is kind of one of those cities that is really due for a turnaround. And it's so exciting to see people are going in there and kind of building that community from the ground up. It's great to hear about.
Well, it was really interesting talking to this guy yesterday because he was saying, it's not really a great cash flow city anymore. And I'm like, do you want to talk about a city that doesn't cash flow at all?
Right. We know about that city. Yeah.
There's still so many opportunities in Detroit, but he's been there for like 15 years investing, and he sees where he used to make $1,000 a month on cash flow. He's like, well, houses are really expensive now. Like they're like $50,000.
50,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd love it. Sign me up all day.
We're spoiled here in our Denver market, with our 650 average price per home. Ugh. Yeah, super spoiled.
Denver is the most expensive market out of the coast.
I believe that. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think we're also the most competitive as well, too, because of all of our investors here as well. We were talking about that on the last show, especially with, the fix and flip properties. I think that's what's selling right now. Nobody wants to pay top dollar for a fixer upper, but they would absolutely pay top dollar for something completely renovated and turnkey, so to speak. So Detroit, that's a little far away, and you're doing it entirely remotely. Is that what you said?
Well, I'm going to be taking part of our team over there. Our goal is going to be doing the acquisitions in bulk, doing 5-10 houses at a time, send the guys over there, buy houses that are not dilapidated, that are not where you can do a fast turnover and put it back in the market in less than 2-3 weeks per house. So line up the guys so that we can send them over there for 2 months at top, send them back.
So you have boots on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are the opportunities to do it remotely completely. I don't do it. I don't do it that way.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something more tangible about being able to have your boots on the ground, whether it's you yourself or somebody that's on your team, and just kind of getting an accurate report of exactly what's going on.
Maintenance and things related for the future operation, yes, they're set up to be remote, but at least this first phase of operation, the things that I realize, and most operators tend to tell me, bro, it's going to be done in 3 months.
Yeah.
Painting a house is going to take 3 days.
Right.
That's super exciting to hear you guys are going into to other markets. You'll have to keep us posted on that. We're excited to hear about it.
We will.
So I keep seeing these pictures of this fancy house you have down in Tulum. Drop a comment in the chat if you want to see us do a video walkthrough tour of this property. But can you talk about that property a little bit for us? That's a new one for you?
We've had it for a year. It's recently been listed. We finished it a couple of weeks ago and got it listed a couple of weeks ago for rental. So this property has a super interesting story if you want to hear.
Sure, please. Yeah.
So Jose has, he throws his net, casts his net wide.
Okay.
For the interest. Some people will, catch on, and it's like he becomes laser focused on it.
Big tuna on the line.
2 years ago, he came across a company, an auction house called Concierge Auctions, and he started following their properties. And they have a lot of properties in Colorado because there's, the mountains are a very luxury market here. And so a house came up in Longmont. It was more Lions, like, when you go up and you're going from, Boulder up to Estes Park.
Yep.
It's kind of a road off of some new builds off there, but the address is technically Longmont. So it was so funny because he always liked to say, like, she hated me on that Mother's Day. He made me go look at this house that was 2 hours away. 30 minutes up a stupid dirt road while we have the car packed with the kids. My in-laws were like,
everybody screaming at me.
And he says to you, wait till you see this.
The house is really beautiful. And so our idea was, the owners had listed the house for 3.5, and it had been listed for 3.5 for a while. We did our analysis. We thought that the house was probably worth 2.5. And we said, okay, we would be willing to pick this up on auction up to 1.75, and we would just turn around and sell it and list it for like
correct the price. A house, don't get me wrong. House, there's nothing to do.
No, it was brand new. It was
brand new, beautiful, 4,000 square feet, 60 acres, highest technology that I've ever seen in a house.
Yeah, it had like geothermal heating, and I mean, it was super high tech. Yeah, I had a helipad.
helipad. So it
Beautiful.
had everything that you can imagine.
It was very bizarre. So we're like, all right, well, we were very risky in this because we did have lending lined up, but it's one of those properties that there's like 3 buyers for the property. It
Sure.
wasn't
Sure.
that
Yep.
way. You wanted to make sure that you could sell it in the summer months, not in the winter months. So we go up, look at it on Mother's Day. I was so mad at him. I was like, this is not how I wanted to spend my Mother's Day. We bid and we win the house for 1.425.
Ooh.
For the
Love it.
and it was a very interesting bidding process too, because there was another bidder. But Jose had been coached by our representative at the not coached, but he said there are some techniques, in bidding. I'm gonna tell you what I've seen that has been effective for
So
people.
basically, what we did was in the last moment. It was very intense because it's a 7 days auction, which are gonna basically everything is gonna happen in the last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes is gonna be 5 minutes in the NBA, 45 minutes, because you can take time.
Right.
But hear me out. If I hear you're taking time, you're asking for oxygen.
Yes.
Okay.
Like in the they'll say
So-
we need and
Mhm.
so that you can extend the clock. They're like, we need another minute.
Mm.
And it's because they're trying to find more money. They're trying to figure out if it makes sense for them.
Right. Right.
And in that moment, I put another bid, and that was so we got the bid started 1.1, so they start being very aggressive. They moved very fast to 1.2.
Mhm.
I got to 1.25. We started to 1.3, blah 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 blah. But when we got to 1.35, they got stuck.
Mm.
Jumped to 1.4, and they requested time.
Mm.
Ooh.
That was when I knew, okay,
He did
here's
the
an
double
extra 25. Go on and get
Seal the deal.
Go and get you. If you're losing, if you're
Yeah.
you don't have money right now, I'm gonna make it a little bit harder for you. And this is the message.
Love it.
I'm gonna keep escalating because in my mathematics, I can still go higher in the price.
Yep. Yep.
My stop was at 1.7. So
Mm.
we won that auction. 3 weeks later, we got a beautiful letter from First Corner, which is everybody knows First Corner.
Mhm.
The law firm saying that
Mhm.
it's not transfer indeed. We don't believe the auction is valid, and my representative they are not transfer indeed.
Wow, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Interesting.
No, we end up in a.
We had to sue them.
Yeah.
We had to sue them, so we had to go find our own legal
Legal team.
counsel, and we sued them, and we won money from a settlement.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so we took that and decided that we did not want to do such a risky market, something like snowy Longmont in the winter.
Yes.
Snowy llama. I like that. Yeah.
Jose
Well.
he started looking at properties in Mexico. So we
Mhm.
went down and actually looked at, and at this point, the lawsuit hadn't been settled yet. It took like 9
Sure.
months.
Yeah.
And so we went and looked at one property in Tulum that was a beautiful home, but it was not the property for
It
us.
was wild.
It was like
wild.
with jungle,
Yeah.
trees going through it, like our children.
Beautiful.
Our children would have died.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because a lot of those destination properties, the landscaping alone is just such a hassle.
Well, it didn't have like any the stairs were just completely open up to
Yeah.
4th floor situations. And
So
it was-
you have
it
a
was
private
dangerous.
cenote with a crocodile.
The pergola. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, his
Raul.
name was Raul. Yeah.
So do not disturb the guy. He has a name. That was definitely this is not Airbnb. This is
No.
not
Yes.
you can take
No, but it was great because it put us in contact with the team in Mexico. And
Mhm.
so we met an agent who's become a very dear friend, and she, helped us through this next process. So when the house that we did end up buying came on, we were the only people who bid on it.
Oh, great.
And so we were watching it live in the middle. It was what
Pretty
you're.
exciting.
Yeah, it was very exciting. We're like sitting in my office with our kids watching the auction going on live in New York City, and we were the only people who bid.
And we saw the gavel going down, and we knew we won in the moment. And it was
How quickly did you guys book the plane tickets right back?
Well, crazy, we bought that property without ever having seen it.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we did go down for the closing. We went down with my dad, purchased the house. It was really bizarre though, because our experience is now that we've been through it twice, is that people who sell their homes on these these platforms, typically they're in some sort of a situation that they haven't been able to sell it anywhere else. And they need a professional team to come in, market, worldwide and see who they can get. But both times, the sellers were very, very unhappy with the price they got. The first time, the sellers owed more on the home than we were actually going to pay them, so they would have had to have brought a lot of money to the table. This one, he wanted double what he got. And it was very bizarre because we showed up to the closing table and he was at the closing table. So everybody closes
together
at the same time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's an exchange hands. Give me the key.
Yeah.
They take a selfie with the previous owner,
Yeah,
Yes.
he didn't.
And
He
they-
wasn't open to the selfie.
and the guy was like, "I kill you."
Was he a local? Was he a local or was he? Okay. Yeah.
In Mexico City, he wasn't. It was a house that he had poorly managed, poorly maintained. He could no longer do the upkeep, and he didn't live there all the time. So anyway, so we picked that house up. It took a year to get it renovated. We had to gut the kitchen, the bathrooms, and the pool, the landscaping. We had to it's a 7,000 square foot house. It's a big house. It sleeps 18. So if anybody needs a place for a bachelor party, a family retreat,
Bigger pocket conference.
bigger pocket conference, we're going afterwards.
Love it.
Yeah,
So it's a big house, and it took a lot of time, and then we had to furnish everything too. We've got a lot of furnishings going on. So but it's a beautiful property. It's not even a 2-minute walk from a beautiful lagoon. Like one of the premier snorkeling destinations on the Mexican Riviera.
Yeah.
So
I can attest. I've seen some of the photos that you guys have been able to show me, and the property is just stunning, And of course, being able to have that natural, would you call it a springs or I guess a lagoon?
it's like a
lagoon
that meets the sea.
Mhm.
So it's got fresh water, but it's like a nursery. It's a breeding ground for tropical fish they come in because there's no sharks in there.
And they're not very friendly.
Well, it sounds like your wait was worth it, right? You got the property you really wanted.
Wait, exactly.
Yeah, what a story. Thanks for sharing that, guys. Not all deals, are that simple. They're not necessarily streamlined. They're all unique and individual.
No. Barney, this was like a landing in the middle of the ocean at night in a carrier. This is
I love it.
I love
You're doing
an agent. I can tell you something. 5 days before closing, Mexican lenders actually we financed. We thought we could close financing with Mexican lending at that point, and 5 days before closing, they call us and say no. Next week? No, Jose, maybe like 45 days.
Ouch.
Pretty much the conversation. When we went through the contract with the lawyer and the auction house and all the parts involved, basically the sanctions to us were around pretty much the same size of the mortgage. So basically we will owe the house and not get deed if we wouldn't close. So
that's tough.
Yeah.
I had to go out and raise $367,000 in 5 days.
And you did it.
To close on the house, and I did.
Nice work.
you see
Yeah.
And I did.
Love it.
But it was a nightmare. I mean, we didn't know until we actually sat down at the closing table whether we were going to be able to buy the house that day. And the owner, the seller, was not willing to provide any flexibility because he was so mad.
He went at 1.5. He went at 1.5, and he sit down at the table, and he knew the house went for 752. And when we sit down at the table, and before he's signing, he refused to sign. And I remember seeing the image of him holding the documents as a hostage. I'm not gonna sign this until somebody tell me how much money I may gonna get.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
was thinking, nobody told you how much you're gonna get.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I haven't had a
Yeah.
statement yet here involved. So
Right.
me that I'm the buyer part, I turn back to title. I'm like, shame of you, girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Shame of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You
Is
need
that how it works? It's with the title company, right? They produce all the settlement statements. It's not the agents or anything.
No, it was a title company.
It was title. Yeah.
Title company, but it was not a smooth transition.
No.
Transaction.
Yeah.
Nightmare. We
You know.
cried. I cried a lot.
We walk
Well,
to the house. So at the moment that we walk into the house, we are the owners. We're not seeing.
mhm.
Yeah.
Like, you better like it.
So happy tears at that point.
At that point, yes.
So no,
Yeah, absolutely. When's the bigger pockets conference you guys are speaking at? Is that in October in Cancun?
yes,
October 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And this property's only about an hour from there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, we gotta
Very
go.
cool.
We're doing the next podcast down there. We're going to do a walking tour.
a
No,
live
for
session
real,
from
for-
Yaku.
We do, exactly. Yalku is the name of the lagoon that the house is right next to. But we actually are taking time and going. We're having our
Please.
kids with us, and
Nice.
you are invited. We have a couple of other friends that are going to bigger
Diego.
parties also. Diego Cardenas and his wife are coming also. So yeah, you're invited.
Oh, super
Come
cool.
down. Come
Love
down.
We're going,
Love
Aaron. We're going.
I love it.
It's a business trip.
Yes, absolutely.
100% deductible.
Yep, exactly. It's a write-off. Yep, exactly. Love it. Awesome. Well, let's jump into a few of these questions here. I know we changed them up from last time a little bit, but I still love this first one. I'm always curious on what our guest response are going to be. But question number one, guys, if you could live in any fictional home from a movie or TV show, which one would it be and why? And you can have separate answers. I mean, you can live together if you want. I mean, I'm not. What did he say? What is it?
He said Mad Men, but I
Mad
thought
Men,
he said Batman,
the TV
and I
show.
was like, Batman's cool, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You took mine if you said Batman. I said Wayne Manor. You've been like, that was my house with the Batcave. But anyways, you said Mad Men?
Yeah, Mad Men.
The show.
The TV show, yeah. Mad Men, the TV show, I think for me, mid-century modern, or all the basically what is it, Bauhaus,
Mhm.
it is fascinating for me.
Okay.
And it reminds me actually a lot the best part of Venezuela, remind me the best part of home. It is the best sign of the architectural we did have in Latin America. And it's just fascinating. It's simple, it's clean, it's functional, it's
Mhm.
practice, it's always elegant, there's always clean lines, there's no cluttered spaces. There's a very wise notion about the use of the space. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Sarah,
think
do you
mid-century modern will always be a timeless style of home.
Yeah.
You know,
agree? It's classic. Yeah. Sarah, do you agree?
I actually love that. Yeah, we do not live in a mid-century modern home. We live in a 1920s bungalow, but we are trying to eventually we're trying to turn it not necessarily into mid-century modern, but more in like kind of this aesthetic, clean lines. I do really like that. Although I really like the answer of
Batman.
Wayne Manor. It's something else. Yeah.
He also has a really cool house.
It's pretty special. Yeah. It comes with Alfred too, right? That's all I need. I just need one Alfred. That's it.
yes.
All right. Question number 2. If you had to describe your investment style in terms of a movie genre, comedy, drama, or action, what would it be and why?
It depends on
The
the day. Yeah, sometimes it feels like Game of Thrones. Yeah.
It feels like Game of Thrones. Okay. All right. Drama. Yeah.
With very epic wars ensuing in the background is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just minus the dragons. Yeah.
Action, and very rewarding moments, pretty much.
Okay. I like it. No, that's a great answer. If real estate investing were a sport, what would your team's mascot be and why?
Do you know what his first answer was?
Ooh, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. What straight off the cuff? What is it?
Well, he was like a taco.
Taco. Oh, I like it. No, I'm down.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you call it a taco?
I love that.
Is that the taco truck that you guys have at your meetup all the time? Yeah.
Well, but the taco cut came much before we met Julia, our taco lady, because all of our workers are Mexican, and taco is a way of life for Mexicans. It's not just they don't know how to eat without a tortilla.
Yeah, that's fair. They're delicious.
So, every time that we would go to their homes for a birthday party or, anything, it was always 100% of the time tacos. We had them actually to our house one time for lunch. They were working at our house.
We served lasagna and they were, where's the tacos?
No. They never had lasagna before.
Yep.
It's very interesting. And so, there is no construction business in Colorado unless you have tacos. And if you do construction business without tacos, you're overpaying.
I think all of our listeners would have to agree. Tacos are kind of held on the highest pedestal here. So let's just stick with the taco mascot.
So
This taco thing comes from a honeymoon. Okay? We're in the middle of honeymoon. We're in Hawaii. And I said, what do you want to have for lunch? I'm thinking she's going to tell me a mahi-mahi. Taco. Hold on.
I love it.
Do you realize we're in the middle of the Pacific?
Drop a comment in the chat if you want to see us get Jose a taco mascot outfit, and he's going to wear it at the next Cash Flow Club.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
I'm tracking one down. The people want it. The people want the evidence that it actually happened. I can find one. We're going to find one. I love it. So that was the first response. What is your more calculated? What would it be?
The Cholo Quinkle.
Do you know what the Cholo Escuincle is?
No.
It is the Mexican street dog.
Well, it's a Mayan dog.
It's a Mayan dog.
It's a
Mayan dog. I like it.
Fearless.
Yes.
And people tend to believe it was sick, and that was me. And that's my story with the Cholo Quinkle. We do have one in Venezuela, and was a street dog university. Street dogs in the university, and we saw this dog, and we thought he was sick, and we started taking care of the dog, and we started treating the skin, and we're trying to, what's going on with this dog? It doesn't have hair. So the people from the vets, the people who are studying veterinary in the university, see us like, we're freaking wild.
Yeah.
What type of animal are you? And we're not the dog. No, you. Not the dog. What type of stupid are you? Healthy. It is like that, and actually it's very expensive and very sacred dog.
Wow.
I like that.
Did you guys see the movie Coco?
I did not.
Is that the one about the Day of the Dead festival, the Disney one? Yes, I did. Yeah, that was a lovely movie. I like that one a lot.
You have to watch the movie. It is one of the sweetest Disney movies ever made.
Yes.
But the dog, his dog, who's like his spirit animal, has a Cholo Escuincle.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. It's been a minute since I've watched that one, so I will have to rewatch that. That was a great one.
But it's also like a long-lasting, like, wiry survival animal in Mexico.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I would say, recently there's been a lot of ups and downs in our real estate stuff. It's been a bucking bronco.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Yeah.
Animal,
That's a very Colorado theme. We went right back to Colorado. The Broncos. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bucking bronco, as long as it's not the blue demon.
The Blucifer.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, we have to talk about that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As Coloradans, I mean, you can't bring someone to the airport and not mention that it was, killed its creator.
Colorado thing ever.
Yes. Is there a name? I guess it's Blucifer, right? That's the name, Blucifer.
I believe so. I'm not sure what the technical term for the art piece is, but everybody in Colorado has that fond term of Blucifer, if you will.
Yeah. All right. Last question, and then we'll get into these articles. So imagine you're a real estate superhero, and you don't have to because you guys are. But what would your superpower be, and how would you use it to close deals?
Super Racer.
Razor?
Super Racer.
You want to go fast?
Yeah, no, being able to raise capital really fast.
Oh, raise. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. A super raiser. So your networker, connector, your superpower is getting people to invest.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Love it.
This is not my superpower, but I would love to have this superpower. I would love to be a great negotiator.
Okay. All right.
Also not great at it, and I would love to have great negotiating
You're
superpowers.
really good negotiating. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You guys are great at it. You guys are in deals. You're doing deals. Yeah. Even if you lose a deal, I mean, it's not the end all be all. Maybe you weren't supposed to. They got you, like the last story you told, that got you into a better deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Great answers, guys. All right. Let's jump into some of these articles. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Yep.
We're in? All right, great.
We're there.
All right. So this one is from CBS News. It's local news. Denver's city attorney says slow permitting process costs homeowners time and money. And this is definitely a big issue across the state. I mean, there's all kinds of different issues and all kinds of different angles we can approach this from. But guys, Jose and Sarah, what are your first thoughts when you see this article?
So the article talks about, obviously, that the permitting process in Denver is atrocious. It's very inefficient.
Very old.
It's very old, and they are understaffed. And it gives some really interesting numbers in there about, how people, because the process is so bad, that people make the decision to not permit homes. And we ourselves have made that decision. Recently, no. Not the last handful of projects we've done. We've decided that we are exclusively going to be permitting because we have gotten red tagged, and it really sucks. I'm not going to lie. But we have passed, and we made the decision that everything would be with licensed professionals and up to code, so that if we did get red tagged, that we're not having to undo what we have done. But it takes forever, and it's not just Denver. It's Lakewood. We were in Lakewood. It took us 3 months to get permits. We are building our building in Denver. The problem has been that the city, we have done multiple submittals, and the city basically is refusing to provide comments at any point of the stage until we have 100% of our plan ready to go, like including all of the engineering, and there are things that we need help on before we even get there. And they're just saying, no, we will not look at any of your application until you have finished everything, which it makes no sense whatsoever, because then it's redoing architectural, it's redoing this, it's redoing that. And they could literally give us a 1-hour meeting with our architect and our structural engineer to go through things, that they absolutely refuse because they're understaffed. They don't have the professionals available to do it. And to be quite frank, they don't care. They don't care. Will.
Nope.
Yeah. It's an interesting juxtaposition because, our Governor Polis did just pass a couple of different laws that are aimed at helping some of the amount of homes that are here in Denver. And, with them taking so long to get these things permitted, it does delay some of the inventory that is brought to the market. So it's definitely frustrating to kind of watch that happen,
Well, and people think that flippers, and I think, I can speak from a flippers, but this article actually talks about homeowners doing it also. But, from the flipping world, people look at us as taking homes away from other home buyers, because we're just coming in and, taking all of the housing stock. So I just want to make a really quick aside on that. What we do is we come in and we take a house that is run down, that nobody else wants to buy.
And can finance.
And they oftentimes, they can't even get a conventional loan on it because it's so it wouldn't appraise. That's true. And we make it a nice house for the next 30 years.
Yep.
Basically, we're bringing inventory into the Fannie Mae market.
Yes.
Yeah.
These houses are not insured. You cannot issue a mortgage through Fannie Mae.
Yeah. And I've mentioned this on other podcasts too. I think it's very interesting. The kind of the flack or the hate that flippers get, because in this market right now, as we've talked about, we all know how competitive Denver's market is. We all know how the home prices have skyrocketed in the past few years, and you have these sellers who are trying to sell these fixer upper properties for top dollar, and now you have these new homeowners or first time homeowners going into a property that they're not even sure how to do any of this fixing up, and they've paid top dollar for it because that's what the seller thinks the market is demanding right now. So I think it's such a juxtaposition, because most people, I would think, would want a house ready to go, unless you're into all this contracting, all this work that you're gonna have to put into it. But then again, how are you going to pay top dollar for a home that isn't fixed up? So anyways, it's always such an interesting point to bring up, because I really truly do think that flippers and the investors are doing a great service to Denver by renovating some of these really old-timey homes that just aren't in livable condition. And like you said, a lot of times you can't even get a loan based on the condition of the house. So it's this interesting back and forth of this tug and pull. So when it comes to these permitting issues, I just think I don't see an end in sight for it. I'm not sure what the resolve actually is, but go ahead, Jose. What were you going to say?
I think that what I ask you is, what about affordable housing in all this debate? I want to tell you something. This is not part of the article, but it should see itself probably the biggest cause behind the affordable crisis in the city. Check what you're reading about the permitting. You're reading about homeowners. What about developers?
Right.
We're trying to build houses. And even like you mentioned, some of the new laws that were passed. One of them was allowing pretty much everywhere in the I don't know if it's just Denver or Colorado, but the ADUs. And so, we already have this massive backlog in the city for permitting, and now you have all of these people where building an ADU helps on so many levels. It helps homeowners get rental income. So if you have somebody on, I know that actually Habitat for Humanity has had a program here in Denver to help people who are on fixed income build ADUs in their backyards. But now you're going to have people who, I have an ADU in my backyard where my mom lives. I think ADUs are incredibly valuable for rental income, multi-generational living. But the city can't even handle what they have right now. And one of the we talked to the mayor on multiple occasions about this issue with the permits, and he always says he's working on it and they are trying to implement a fast track system. But you can talk about the fast track systems in other cities. You know more about it.
Yeah, there are alternatives. So this is not something that first time Denver is going through that, or see Denver is the only city that may be facing this situation. New York, LA, Chicago, Los Angeles, the biggest cities in the country are facing the same situation. And what they do is the municipalities has agreement with private firms, with local architects who will be reviewing for them, and developers will be able to pay to those services, which are very expensive, but you'll be able to have an answer back in a matter of time. That will be able to split the line between developers and homeowners. Homeowners, their houses are not going to the market, and their houses are not going to help into the affordable houses. Developers, yes, we are. That's exactly what another thing that I want to tell you. The last thing is tap fees. $27,000 tap fee in the city of Denver. How can you get any affordable housing?
Oh yeah.
If that's
just the right to connect you to the pipe.
But for a multifamily, like for our 5-unit multifamily, it's $70,000. We're trying to put, units on the market that are, not super expensive rentals. $70,000 in tap fees. Massively expensive, and for these bigger buildings, they're in the $500,000 range. Go to other cities like Parker, and it's like a couple $1,000.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like you said, you have these developers that really want to do work and they want to get these units to market, but they're kind of being red taped and slowed down the whole way.
Yeah, and there's I think there's just not the willpower to do it. The city has been taken over by other issues, but they're all related to housing. They are the migrant crisis, housing issues,
The
the
homeless.
homelessness crisis, housing.
Mm-hmm.
Solution for the three main problems in the city is doors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
It doesn't matter how
Yep.
you can see it. Homeless, migration, and affordable housing. You can fix the three of them if you sit down in a round table with developers. And that is not happening. And that is not happening. The city is not doing it. We talked to the mayor about it, and no answer so far.
Yeah, it's such an interesting, thing to talk about, especially when it comes to the city of Denver, because like you mentioned, other states and other cities do things a little bit differently. But here it's not getting done right, and it's just unfortunate. But all right, let's jump on to the next article here. All right, this one's also interesting. I'm just gonna start sharing this screen. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
All right, great. So this one's a little controversial. This is, again, not about investor, but a normal homeowner. And this one says, ruined. Customers take on, I'm going to pronounce this terribly, Schwab builders after unpermitted remodel. Aaron, I'm going to let you to take that one first. Jump right in. What's going on here with this article?
Yeah, so it looks like, homeowners had work done on their home itself that was unpermitted, right? These builders brought in contractors to do the work, and now the homeowner is kind of faced with the repercussions of that. It's always tough when you see the consumer hurt, she's basically saying that they more or less ruined her house. Now, the company is not just facing that lawsuit. There's a couple of different court orders that are against them, which is, it's tough when you see a lot of these companies get in trouble for just not doing the right thing and kind of having that above board mindset for ethics. They're just going in there and knocking down walls and doing what they please, and then they're letting the homeowner suffer the repercussions, which is it's tough because a lot of these larger companies have the pocketbook to handle a lawsuit or handle some of the repairs, but the normal consumer just doesn't.
Yeah, it's such a tough and interesting case, when it comes to, vetting these contractors, because, this is not the first time this has happened. This one in particular is in Denver, but I've heard things up here in Boulder and Louisville the same. I mean, there are, Facebook discussions forums where people chat about, have you heard so-and-so? He took my down payment and never came and did the work. And this is, just so unfortunate that's becoming too much of a common theme, with these contractors. What do you guys think, Jose and Sarah, as contractors yourself? We just talked about permitting, but what are your thoughts on regular homeowners, kind of vetting contractors?
I don't even know, to be very honest, other than a recommendation, I don't even know how someone would do it. Unless you're going with a very high-end company that's very established. I don't even know how you would do it, because I know that my contractor gives me an estimate on a project, and I have to pay 40% upfront.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I think, was talking about one that was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So you're looking at someone's bringing $50,000 to $80,000 to the table that someone could literally just walk away with.
Yeah, it says the report recommends the interior of the home be demolished back to the rough framing stage, framing and structural members to be corrected, and the plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and the insulation to be reinstalled. So take it all the way down to the studs and leave it up to the homeowner to fix the problem.
I know. I mean, that's devastating. And
Yep.
that's that type of a job is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Again, I don't even know how, other than a personal recommendation. I don't know how you would find somebody. I would not take someone's recommendation off of Facebook.
Yep.
I would.
Yeah.
I will say that the best way that you can underwrite a GC is you need to get reference. You need to get. You should have a real contract. You should not settle in some things. You cannot start working with me unless you give me your workers' comp, unless you
Sure.
give me your W-9.
Yep.
And unless your insurance and you send me your insurance, and I can see.
Yep.
why.
Yeah.
And I can
Yeah. So It's so tough because there's always going to be something, and it's like I've seen contractors, who I've vetted. I've seen the other work they've done. I have friends that have used them, and then all of a sudden I refer them to the next job. And then somebody pays them and they get ghosted. I've seen it in my own business as a real estate agent, and it's unfortunate. Like, I don't know, like you said, it's so hard. You can even look at track record and look at what they've done. You can check out the Better Business Bureau. You can look at their reviews online, but at the end of the day, it's like everybody can have unexpected life changes and all of a sudden just, drop the project. So it's really interesting. I'm not even sure what the fix is going to be for this.
Yeah. And, there are apps out there nowadays like Thumbtack where you can kind of get on there. And it's almost like Yelp for contractors, if you will. Sure. But for our listeners out there, please make sure you guys are doing your research and doing the due diligence on the people that you're.
Even in addition to due diligence, you need to understand if they're going to do good work if they do show up. But I would say having a very, very strong contract in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Penalties for not performing. That just it's a couple $1,000s probably for somebody to go to their lawyer, but I think it's well worth the money. If you have a $200,000 project that you're doing in your home, lawyer to draft up a contract between you and your general contractor, all of the things that Jose said to make sure they have all of the licenses and insurances in place, but also penalties for not, because like the situation that we were chatting about before we went live, where we had a GC steal $40,000 from us.
Yeah.
A couple of projects where he just disappeared. To be very honest, it was the first time I had ever worked with a licensed GC, and I did not have appropriate contracts in place. I had a contract in place, but I don't think that, now obviously in retrospect in this situation, it did not have the protections that I needed. And, now I'm having to go through this very long legal battle. And I think that it would have been much easier if I had appropriate legal protections for myself in place.
For future reference, we are going to be launching many builds with Alex Lovera. We'll probably should be a solution for a lot of these.
Yep. We'll drop that in the chat. We'll drop that in the description below too. But Many Build Solutions is an excellent. Can you describe what that is a little bit? It's an app.
It's an app where you're going to be able to have a marketplace and be able to post your needs as an investor, and you're going to be able to post yourself as a contractor. So imagine if I'm looking for somebody that I need to paint in a condo. I'll post I need a painter for a condo of 1,000 square feet, quotes here, and the people who are going to be working that platform, all of them have been vetted. So we tend to
love that.
Risk is the people that we already worked with them in the past.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think Alex will have also in the platform is contracts.
Correct.
Because he has invested a lot of time and money, having as a general contractor himself, he has a lot of those contracts already in place.
Yeah, that's great to hear. There's a little bit of added peace of mind, right? If you're saying, hey, everybody that's on this app has been vetted and we're keeping track of that. And of course, the contracts is just icing on the cake there.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, no, great plug. I almost forgot about that. The Many Build app. That's a little special app right there. So for all you investors out there who are, interested in getting contact with contractors and making sure you have the right legal in place, definitely check out Many Build Solutions.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Let's jump into this last article here. Where'd we go? Okay, here we are. Can we see this one?
Yes.
All right. So this one says Bellevue landlord, which is in Washington, for everyone to know. Bellevue landlord gets March 2025 court date in war with squatters. Now, this one's been going on for a while. I think some of us might be familiar with this one, but I'll let Jose and Sarah take this one away. What's going on with this one?
It's insane. It's an Airbnb situation where
Is this the Airbnb? No, this is a rental. No. This isn't the Airbnb one. That one's in LA.
No. Here
Right.
I thought they got there through the Airbnb. No, but actually they got into a 12 million house.
Yeah.
They stopped paying rent.
Right away, and they have jobs.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of a tax, public program because they're saying that they can't afford the rent, and so taxpayers are having to cover their rent and have been for months and months and months and months and months.
With
And
TAs. Where are the TAs for this? This is,
Yeah.
honestly,
They're too busy. I mean, this article literally says that, like, the backlog is so long that they're just paying out this money, and it's so unfortunate because that money should go towards people who actually need it, who are actually in situations,
Yeah.
that would require some assistance. And I mean, that's where the taxpayers wanted the dollars to go. So how this is happening, this is blowing my mind that they're just okay, with paying these people's rent. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, and I think it goes on to say that the program is designed for people who are 200% or below the median poverty line, and for folks who are on the bubble, a single mom who lost her job could be a good example of what this money is to be used for. Not somebody who moves into a $2 million home and decides right away that the rent is too high. I think they've racked up about $90K worth of rent charges.
I mean, how does someone even qualify? Like, what are the requirements for a program like this? I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's not what the intent is. And at $90,000, that's an inspector's or some sort of, oversight position's salary.
Yep.
And so this is obviously a very, exaggerated case of someone taking advantage of the situation. But this is just for one town, right? Bellevue.
And we're starting to hear it more.
yeah,
But
That's true.
if they pay, think of like, okay, we're going to hire someone whose sole job it is to do oversight of this program. It would be cheaper than paying this person's rent.
Right.
Yes.
And these programs, you can't just create. They are very important programs. We were chatting about this before.
this is not about the program. This is about how they are misusing the program, which is critical.
It really is. It really is.
So the only question is, where's the DOJ for these cases? Where is the real department, and where's the cops in not investigating this, because this is a fraud on taxpayer money.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and the other situation on this too is you've got misuse of tax dollars and fraud, but you also have the situation of squatters and squatter rights. Really, really problematic thing. Getting people. I'm not saying that people should just be able to be evicted, on a whim, but the fact that this person, this homeowner, landlord, is not able to have a court date for another 9 months, and he might end up losing his home because the court system is not equipped to deal with squatters who are clearly taking advantage of this situation.
Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous.
Clearly taking advantage of the situation. In Denver, we live in a very strong, tenant right city as well. I lived in Boulder, where you have very strong tenant rights as well. I lived in California, also have very strong tenant rights.
DC?
And DC also, where we had a tenant in our condo in DC before we sold. It was a first right of refusal. And she actually, this was interesting. She ended up signing all of the documentation, and the sale of our condo went through okay. But she actually had really wanted to purchase the property, but she couldn't afford it. And she never was going to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
She actually was like, I don't know if I really want to sign these documents at one point. To be able to, releasing her first right of refusal.
When we had an offer on the table already.
Yeah, we were trying to get to the closing table, and she was like, kind of like, I know you need to sell it. I know I can't afford it, but I really don't want to sign these documents. And you're like, what are you talking about? And there's nothing I could have done to tell her to sign those documents.
We ended up paying her.
We had to give her a free month of rent.
Yeah.
To get her to sign the documents.
So this is the things that when sometimes people are writing laws, they don't take in consideration.
Yep.
Yeah, no, these are always such really interesting situations because I feel like there's always two sides of it. We were discussing this earlier as well too. I mean, from one side of it, the landlords are just trying to pay their mortgage, and on the other side, you've seen landlords be absolute slumlords in a sense that they're packing people into a house that is just literally condemned. I've seen it with college students. I've seen it with lower income areas, but essentially there's always two sides of that story, and in a lot of these cases that we're bringing up here, there's these squatters' rights. I just don't see how we're on the squatter side with this one. This is just it kind of blows my mind a little bit when you look at the the black and white facts of what's going on here. It's like obviously this person is taking advantage of the system that's in place to help protect some of these people in the lower income areas. So it's just unfortunate when we read headlines like this, because you just there's always two sides to every story, but ultimately in this one here in particular, it's just absolutely someone taking advantage of the system, and it's just unfortunate. And I don't know what the workaround or what the fix is for this, because you have so many different states that have so many different rules, and like Jose is saying, like, why isn't the DOJ getting involved? Because this is taxpayers' dollars going towards someone living in a luxury home. I mean, this is just ludicrous in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not. I mean, it's not the DOJ. It's not a federal problem, but the
There's
state prosecutors are not.
And local prosecutors.
Right.
Correct.
Somebody do something. I mean, this is just nuts. Yeah.
Well, also you see a lot of times it's not. This is a situation where it was someone who signed a lease and then stopped paying. But you also have, squatters where they find a property that's being renovated and they take up, stead in those homes. Or, they, like, when we were talking about with Detroit, some of the operations that we want to do there, that, we were warned that people can break in and just start squatting, while the house is vacant. And in those cases, there's like, you're going through months and months and months and months of legal processes, legal fees, paying your mortgage, and you can't get someone out who has, trespassed on your property and taken that's in your property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's so unfortunate. I think I mentioned the story before we went live, but I'll reiterate it again. It was either a TikTok or an Instagram or whatever they're calling it these days, but it was a video of a guy explaining on how he got rid of his squatters, and essentially there was about 8 people I think living in the home at the time, and he couldn't get them out, and he couldn't do anything to go in. Nobody could remove these people. So one day he showed up and dropped off 16 large anaconda snakes and put them in the living room. And came back a few days later, and the squatters were out, but he only found 14 snakes.
They're there somewhere. They're the new tenants now.
Yes.
Anacondas. I mean, I hope they didn't. Did all of the tenants make it out of the property?
So that was it. Was a TikTok. It was a very short, short story, if you will. But those are the basic facts. So I'll pull it up. I can go deeper into the article and find out what happened to the actual tenants. But they're no longer living in his residence. So that was the happy ending that he was.
The intention was there.
I mean, imagine the level of being at your wits' end that you have to get to do something so
that's sad.
extreme to get someone out of your property.
Yeah, like we're saying, there's always two sides to every story, but some of these people just taking advantage, of these landlords and homeowners is just a shame, And then even in this article, where it takes it then to the taxpayers is now involved too as well. It's just a shame.
It is. We had a rental property that during COVID, the tenants started getting really, and they made plenty of money. Their issues were not financial.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped paying rent because there was a window latch that was broken. And
Interesting.
it required the latch, like we sent someone over there, the latch could not be replaced. We would have had to have replaced the entire window, but there was another window that was directly next to it, so they could easily have fresh air.
Yeah.
It's not a safety issue, just like really leave the window shut. It was a 1912 house,
Sure.
Everything to be brand new. They refused to pay their rent. And finally I was like, do you guys want out of your lease? Like, what's going on? Why? And you've been there for 6 months, and now all of a sudden this window that you just discovered,
You're happy.
and now they were sending me like tenant laws and all of this stuff. And I finally asked them, do you want to break your lease? And they said, oh yes, please, could we? We want to move back to DC to be close to our family because my wife is pregnant and we don't have any family here. And I was like,
Okay.
you have just had a conversation with me. And
Yeah.
they didn't pay their rent for 2 months.
And don't get me wrong, this is before ChatGPT. So when putting them together, a legal letter, it takes real time.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah, it's always tough when some of those little conversations aren't had, coming from a landlord standpoint. There's always ways to work through a situation, but it's kind of hard when you don't know where that the resident is actually coming from or what their reasoning is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another situation where you guys, being awesome landlords, just had that open conversation, kind of figured out, what the real issue was, and then move forward, and there was no, bigger blow up or bigger, end result of any of this. So that, kudos to you guys for being great landlords and, being able to have those conversations. Because I think sometimes people, either get trapped with these, corporate property management places, where nobody cares. So it's a kind of an interesting situation that you guys had. But I'm glad it got resolved well. You only lost 2 months of rent. Did they ever end up paying it?
They did actually end up paying it because
Wow.
because I gave them what they wanted. They wanted out of their
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, see, easy communication. Yep.
As soon as we talked to them, they changed immediately their attitude and they were like, oh, yes, that's all that we needed. And we were like, okay, just ask.
Yep, exactly. All right, so we are hitting the 1 hour mark on our show here. I want to thank Jose and Sarah for coming on, and thanks to Aaron for always being here by my side, and appreciate your guys' time. And if you made it this far watching, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to comment down below if you agree with us or you disagree with us. Let us know. We're happy to share our thoughts, and we want to hear your feedback. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. Thanks again to Jose and Sarah and Aaron, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you, Barney. Thank you, Aaron.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.